All right, what is up, guys? Ryan with Elevate Security here, and another Linux video for you guys. This one is very useful. I wouldn't really call it too advanced, but it is definitely going a little bit beyond just a pure beginner level, I think. Just in terms of you don't have to know tons of Bash, tons of Linux. In the security world. I mean, your mileage may vary depending on your role. You might need to use more or less of it. But this is like one of the more advanced things in terms of what you need to know for Linux. And this is how to do for loops using Bash, right? It's really useful for those quick and dirty scripts when you don't want to write like a full-on Python script for it, or, you just want to use something quick and dirty. You can even run this as a one-liner. So the first thing I'm going to show you how to do is how to use a for loop in a actual Bash script file and just run that Bash script. But then I'll also show you how to do it even more quick and dirty, and that is just purely from the command line as a one-liner. And after this video, you'll understand how to take any Bash script and convert it into a one-liner if that's something that's feasible and something you want to do, right? You'll know how to sort of translate that. So yeah, let's just get right into it. In this example, what I'm going to be using to illustrate this is we're going to be creating a simple sort of ping sweep script. And this is something that I don't have a bunch of IP addresses on this network that I can scan. So instead of IP addresses, I'm just going to use like common website host names, but we'll ping sweep them. We'll do the same thing. Now, there's no practicality to this example because obviously all these sites are behind load balancers and all this stuff, the well-known sites, obviously, right? But you could definitely translate this into something like OSCP or something if you had IPs. Now, I would give the caveat as far as ping sweeps go. I would just use the nmap -SN flag to do a ping sweep through nmap because it's going to be a lot more efficient, a lot faster, a lot better. But this proof of concept for for loops can apply to anything that you want to iterate through with a for loop, right? It doesn't have to be a ping sweep. So keep that in mind. This is just for illustration purposes, but what you will learn in this video should help you take it and use it however you see fit. So let's get right into it. What we're going to do, actually, we're just going to create a file that we'll call IPs. But of course, we're not putting in IP addresses. We're just going to put host names in this case. So maybe we have like google.com, let's say yahoo.com, facebook.com, and amazon.com. This is just our little IPs text file here. We'll save that. And let's say now we have our script, right? We'll call this ping sweep .sh, right? And so for this script, what we'll do is we'll say for IP in, and then we'll have a $sign to indicate. Here, I'll explain this in a second. But basically, the way we want to do this to read it from a file is we'll do this. So basically with this, what we have is the IP's file, and we have this little redirector, right? Because it's going to take that and read it, redirect it into standard in, and it's going to iterate through this. So just kind of remember this. There's different ways of doing this as well. This is the way I learned how to do this. But we can Google some other ways that you can do it as well, because I know for sure there's other ways. This is how I typically do it. And then we'll say do. You got to use the keyword do in Linux, and then whatever command we want to run. So let's do like ping C1, like to ping it one time, because I don't know if you're aware, but on Linux, if you run a ping command, it runs indefinitely. On Windows, it'll ping 4 times, but on Windows, like without this C1 flag, it will ping just until you Control C out of it till you cancel it. So we want to tell it to only ping one time. That's what the C1 flag is for. And now that we're calling on the variable, we need the sigil. So we do $IP. And so we'll loop through and do that. And then we use the keyword done to indicate that we are done with our loop. That's just like in for loops, you need a do and a done. Just something to keep in mind. So let's just go ahead and chmod, make it executable. And we'll go ahead and run that. And yeah, when we run this script, we see it does pretty much exactly what we want it to do. It pings Google, Yahoo, Facebook, Amazon, everything on the list, right? You just iterate through. So we'll just go back just to make sure we clarify the script. Very simple script here, but this is how you can iterate through a file, right? You put the file name here and the redirector, and you can close it in parentheses with a $. And then for the actual iterative part of the loop, you encase that in a do and done keyword, the do and done keywords. So anything in between this do and done is what it's going to do on each iteration. In this case, we just want it to ping one time the entry in the file, right? So as it iterates through for each entry, and I could call this whatever, right? Any variable name. Like we could completely change this. Any variable name. We could call it that, right? But when we call it, we gotta use that name then. And just to illustrate, right? If we save this, it'll still work. Right? We could call that anything we want. That's my point here. And obviously this name is IPs because that's what we named our file, right? We're reading from that file. So hopefully that was easy enough to follow along. Now what I'm going to show you next is how to take this script and instead of saving this as its own file, just doing it quick and dirty from the command line as a one-liner. And what I mean by one-liner is all in one line on the command line, no file needed, right? If you're doing something really simple, like this is a very simple thing. We don't really need an entire bash script file for this. We could just run this, especially if it's something we only need to do one time, like on a ping sweep. We might only be interested in doing that right now. But if we plan on running it a bunch of times, then it makes sense to have a file, right? But any script at all can be written in one line. Now, obviously, if this bash script was hundreds of lines, thousands of lines long, I don't want to do that in a single command, like a single line, right? So it doesn't really make sense. But for something like this that's pretty short, we could definitely very feasibly do this as a one-liner. So let me show you exactly how to do that. So we already have our file, right? The IPs file here. So this should be pretty straightforward. All we need to do is write the same stuff, but just tell it where to do the line breaks, right? So if we say for IP in IPs, now we put this, right? Because here, this might be, let me spawn a new little window here. I'm not in Tmux, so I'll just do it this way. That's fine. So what I want to illustrate to you guys is basically what I'm doing is every time it goes to a new line, I'm going to put the semicolon. And that's going to tell it, like basically it's going to interpret it as its own line, right? Because we want to do this in one line on the command line, but it needs to know where the line breaks are. So I have this statement here. Then I need a semicolon, all right? Now the do and done, that's a little bit trickier. With these keywords, you don't need, it doesn't have to be on a new line, right? Like I could have written this all, I could have written the do and done like I could have written it like this if I wanted to. So that's what it's gonna look like. Actually, I couldn't have written it like that, but what I could have done is written it like this. That's what I should have said. Yeah, I could have written it like this. But the common syntax way to do it is like that. So with that being said, And hopefully that wasn't too hard to follow along there. We're going to say ping C1 IP. And then new line, done. Now we could put this here if we wanted to, but because it's the last line, we don't actually have to include the semicolon here. We can just write it like this, and this should work. Yep, and we run it, and there you go. That's your quick and dirty one-liner. Hopefully I explained that well enough that everyone was able to follow along. Now, there's a lot of different ways to do for loops. And before I end this video, if I didn't explain that well enough, let me know in the comment section below. Maybe I can clarify some stuff for you. But before I go, there's different ways to read from a file, right? So let me show you the other way. That's the way I like to do it, but you can Google something like Linux for loop, or Linux iterate through file. You'll probably see different people doing things in different ways. So just Googling something like that, checking out like Stack Overflow, and you might see some examples of people doing it maybe slightly different. Doing stuff with read commands, because the way that Linux goes is it's basically, if you're familiar with Python, there's a Pythonic way to do things, and that is like the most generally accepted way that you're supposed to do stuff. Yeah, see, this is done a little bit differently here, right? Like there's a Pythonic way to do things. Yeah, you can do it like this. See, he cats it and has it in parentheses, cat the file name and like $sign outside of it. It's another way you can do it. But yeah, basically there is no, like, it's the opposite in Linux. There is no generally accepted like best way to do things. You just have a bunch of different ways to do things, and you can take from it what you want and do what you want here. See, look, all kinds of different ways of people doing more or less the same thing. So yeah, I hope this video was of help to you guys. And like I said, let me know if there's any questions and things that might be confusing you guys, tripping you guys up, and I'll help you to the best of my abilities. If you've been enjoying this content so far, be sure to subscribe for more content and like the video. Lets me know that you guys are interested in this stuff, and I will see you guys in the next video.